Welcome to TV5 and Mana TV. You are watching Insight with Praveen Puram live from Atlanta. As we have been doing many episodes, and today we'll be talking more about the technology. In this technology, if we zoom, quality assurance and engineering is one of the component in the SDLC, and we will talk with one of the CEO for automation tool, which is called Mute Test. So we have our guest, Mr. Ivan Bragas Vargas, with us. He is the CEO of Mute Test. So shortly we will discuss with him more about his vision, what is his tool about, and how it is useful to Indo-Americans on the automation tool. Thank you so much, Ivan, for joining with us and spending your weekend's time with us to give some insight on quality assurance and engineering automation space. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the invite, Praveen. I enjoy and I enjoy your conversation. So thank you for the invite. Happy to share my journey and what we do.
Thank you, Ivan. So again, thank you for the sponsors today, Ready CPA and Spearsoft. For any of your tax needs, please contact Ready CPA, and for any of the software, Spearsoft, and also Mute Test, we have Ivan here. Before we start, let me introduce Ivan a little more so that we can get into the deeper discussion on his journey. So Ivan has 15 years of experience in quality assurance and test automation. He realized that testing was slow and required an army of QS to automate it. In 2019, he and Renan Ugalde founded Mute Test, an AI-powered solution that effortlessly automates software testing in days instead of years. Since participating in top startup accelerators like Mass Challenge, Techstar, Mute Test, and received grants from National Science Foundation, Small Business Innovation Research Program, as well as included in Google for Startup Latino Founders Fund for 2023. That's a great journey, Ivan. So if you see in the market today, the trend is all AI, ML, and generative AI. And if you see from past decade, testing has become an important component of SDLC, and every organization, if they wanted to release in this digital world, testing has become an important component of their life. And zooming into automation, which is very, very essential. Before we get into more on automation, I wanted to tell more about your journey. What made you to start this automation, being there are many tools in the world?
Yeah, good question, Praveen. So yeah, like I studied computers. I'm from Mexico. I studied computer science, and most of my career has been in QA and testing. So I work for different companies doing everything. First manual testing, then automated testing. Then I became a test architect, test automation architect. So I got to see those tools that you mentioned. And in the companies that I was working, like I was seeing also like the budgets that we were putting for QA. We had dozens of talented engineers just writing and maintaining scripts with the traditional tools. So me and my co-founder, we were seeing the same in different companies. So we said there has to be a better way. So you were right. There were already many tools, but they require many technical skills, coding skills, but also engineering skills in the way to think about test automation. So at the end, even the tools were there. They required dozens of talented engineers to make them work properly and then to maintain them properly. So yeah, so we saw that it was painful. So we decided to approach it in a different way.
Absolutely. So Ivan, in your test automation tool, today there is a bigger challenge for the customers, right? Or the vendors to choose which tool is important in the market. That has become a great challenge because more and more tools coming into play. It has become a challenge to understand which tool works well. So if you see in the market, the tools are very specific on web client, thin client, thick client, APIs, and database. So what are the challenges you are addressing from your Mute Test?
We address end-to-end test automation. So one of the challenges that's one of the challenges we address, because we see also, as you properly mentioned, Praveen, like there are very specific tools depending on the environment and infrastructure that you will test. And The problem is that these tools just work pretty well for those specific environments. There are not many, the integrations are pretty difficult to have end-to-end testing, real end-to-end testing in the current world, right? Because in the current world, many companies, they have a web component, they have an API component, they have a native mobile component, maybe a mobile reactive component. So there are many components that they interact with each other, and most of the tools, they are just focused on one of these components, and they cannot integrate the experience across all. So that's one of the challenges that we address with MoveTest. We can do web, API, native mobile, reactive mobile. So that's one of the challenges regarding the different types of tools that you can find, right, where they focus on. So basically, real end-to-end regression, that's how we call it, because you can have a user that creates an account in mobile, then the same test can go ahead and in web verify from that the user was created, for example. So you can have a complete flow end to end, and then maybe that calls an API to assign certain rights to the user. And then you go back to the mobile environment. So we can do all of these creative scenarios that many tools cannot do.
Excellent. That's a great point you brought up, Ivan. And how is the integrations today? If you want to do a browser, we need to go to other tools like Browser Stack or anything. Then, if you want to go for continuous integration and deployment, we need other set of tools like Jenkins and all. So, how is this tool integrated with them? What are the integrations today we have with this?
A good question. So the integrations for us, it happens in two ways. We have an API. So that enables us to integrate with any DevOps CI/CD tools. We have a strong API that we can make calls, do gets, and use all that information. Regarding the browsers, we support browsers, Firefox and Chrome in our cloud, but also we can integrate with what the customers use. So, for example, Browser Stack, you mentioned Browser Stack, they are a partner of us. We are partners. Many of our customers use Browser Stack for their mobile testing or to increase the variability of the browsers they use. So we can integrate and send our tests to run in Browser Stack and get the results back in our platform. So we offer a lot of optionality and integrations because we have a strong API. And that way our customers can test in different devices, different OSs, different browsers as needed. And even in parallel, if they say, okay, I want to run 10 tests at the same time, we can enable that through integrations or also in our native cloud. Our native cloud is enough for good regression testing, but some customers want I want to test every device available. Okay, we can integrate.
Excellent. And coming to the customer base, so most of the time, suppose for example, every customer has Salesforce. So most of the customers where we interact with the kind of CRM, so there are a lot of dynamic changes on the Salesforce. So when I say dynamic changes, the UI gets changed, the components changed, or the recognition of the components will be tough. So does the Mute test solve this kind of problem?
So can you go deeper in the scenario? I'm trying to understand more. Mm-hmm.
For example, then when you do a Salesforce, there is a lot of configurations happening in the Salesforce. Today, the button might be right and it might go left after they release another version. So all the test cases which we have prepared might fail, right? So probably I'm talking about a similar kind of self-healing or any of the AIML included in that. Will the tool take automatically the components, recognize it, and run the test without any interrupt?
Yeah, that's a good question. So that happens a lot. I mean, all the modern applications, they change a lot. Even if they are not changing, if they are developing React, Angular, Vue, many of the famous selectors and IDs, they are changing continuously, even if you didn't change the software. So yeah, we have self-healing capabilities. So our tool automatically creates 5 to 6 selectors in different ways. So we have different pointers to the same object, and those selectors are updated as well. So yeah, we are able to find the objects most of the time, 95% of the time. And if the change was pretty big, let's say that there are some changes that will happen that no matter how much self-healing you have, it seems like the scenario actually changed. So in those scenarios that the changes were big, we offer tools that help you just to fix that small change. You have like a large test case of 60 steps, and the step 58 change. Usually what happens is you have to record again the large test case.
Exactly.
So what we can do is we can just fix that step 58 and everything else continues. So we address that in a semi-automatic way, a lot of self-healing, but also providing the tools to fix the test on the fly if some big changes happen.
So when you are dealing with the automation, most of the SIs, the system integrators, right, they will have more challenges when they are catering their services to the customer. So what are those features in Muke test which will attract the SIs in today's market?
So we developed a process internally on how to implement Mook test, and with the SIs. When we partner with SIs, we pass that process to them. That has been successful many times with our customers, because for some customers, we have the software, which is powerful, but for some customers, they need someone to implement it, to integrate it, as you mentioned. So we do it for them, for some customers, but also we have partners that they do it. And we developed this great process on how to get to hundreds of tests running in a few weeks, automated. And when we work with an SI, we teach them this process, and they are successful as well.
Excellent. So when most of the automation tool I saw, it will be a subscription based or the license based, right? And I saw that there is a unique feature like pay as you go pricing, right? When I see the Mute test, definitely this will be an interesting concept or the format where anyone can come and use this automation test. So can you throw some light on what is the pricing model you have, Ivan?
Yeah. Thank you, Praveen, for that question. So what we discovered is we innovated in the technology, but also in the business model, because at the end, what we discovered is what the customers want to achieve is they want to have a strong test suite, automated, testing their software continuously every time they push code. So we say, okay, the customers want that. How can we align our pricing model to that? So what we do is we have different tiers depending on how many tests they are running in the system, actively running. They can have many tests, but the ones that you have integrated with DevOps, the ones you are running daily. So at the end, the customers pay for how much they are testing, because they get value from those tests being run. So we have different tiers. In the way that in the model that we implement, the pricing goes $4K per month. That covers up to 300 tests, 100 tests created monthly at least. And that goes up if customers, they need 500 tests, 600 tests. We have packages of 5K or 6K per month. But as you mentioned, is as you go, depending on how many tests you need. That's for the integration. When we are integrating and implementing the software, we have the model just software that after we implement the software, we can pass the usage of the software to our customers. We teach them how to use it. And that roughly goes from $600 per month for unlimited executions to $1,500 per month, depending on how many tests you have in the system. So yeah, it's tiered based on the active test in the system.
So probably, if I were to understand, you are saying that if you have 300 test cases, we come and execute along with our tool and then give it to the customer and then teach them later, and there will be a price change. Initially, it will be like 4,000 for 100 test cases or 5,000. And then after you do a set of regression, you hand it over to the customers and then ask them to do with the license fees, or how is it?
Correct. Yeah. Correct. Let's say that you realize you need test automation. Let's say, okay, I have been trying to implement Selenium for 10 months now, 12 months. I don't see progress. I'm getting behind. I have still a lot of manual testing. I need test automation. What can I do? So a customer comes to us and we tell them, okay, we will help you implementing Mook test so you can get to 95% test coverage in 3 months. Let's put the goal of getting 600 test cases in less than 3 months. So we assign a customer success engineer from our team to help them implement MOOC tests. So we get to the goal of 600 test cases. Actually, the customers get the first 25 to 50 in week one. So every week we are adding many test cases. Those start running daily as needed, integrating DevOps. And at month 3, when we finish the full regression testing, you could say, program, some customer says, okay, I already have 5 QAs. I want to take over the automation. Okay, we teach their QAs to use MOOC tests, and the training takes just a couple of hours, so maybe 2 meetings of 2 hours in 1 week, and that's enough because the tool is low code. And we teach them, and then they start using MOOC tests on their own, just running the whole regression testing and maintaining the test. And at that point, yeah, we just go to a tier of just software, or as I mentioned, around $1,000 per month. That's the average customers pay for 600 tests.
I think I like the idea because you are not only giving your automation test tool, but also you are showing the progress and then teaching them, and it's like a build, operate, transform. So that gives an opportunity for the customer, no brainer, hassle free, so that you get all the struggle and you pay on a monthly basis and then they can execute. So that's a nice model. So probably I think the customers will like. So who is your customer base right now? Do you have in what's the geography of your market, and what is the size of the companies which have implemented this MOOC, so that the audience who are seeing, who wants to go into an automation route, they might come and ask for help?
Yeah, good question, Praveen. So our customer right now, our ideal customer are companies or teams within companies that have 5 to 30 developers. They have been growing. They have web and mobile software, and they realize that manual testing is not enough anymore. And also, if they realize that implementing a traditional test automation project will take months or years, if they realize that, because there are many experienced CTOs that they know that they went that route in the past, and they say, oh, I don't want to have that route again. So a good customer is these 5 to 30 development teams or companies that say, I have too much testing, I need to automate it. I don't want to go the traditional way of hiring another 3 SDTs for a project of 1 year or 2 to implement Selenium, Cypress, Playwright. What alternatives there are? How can I get to automate everything in a few weeks instead of years? That's the perfect customer. It can be web or mobile software. Industry, we don't care about the industry. We don't do like game testing, for example. We don't do game testing. We don't do like software that is pretty video interactive or streaming. But if it is a B2B software, if it is even B2C software that it's not video based or game based, we can work on those projects.
Excellent. So Ivan, one other question, because I'm also from the software background and into testing. Most of the CIOs or the managers will ask me, first of all, the question would be, what is the technology used in building your automation tool? Number 2, I have 1,000 test cases which are automated in Selenium. Would your tool consume them or automate, or we have to recreate them? So what is the answer for these kind of 2 questions from you?
Yeah, so that's a good question, because usually the low-code tools in the market, they generate their own scripting, or they use our tool is low-code and it generates Selenium and Playwright scripts. Okay. So that gives us the possibility, tying to your second question, of using what the customers already have. So we can import them, or we can continue running them on the side if they are healthy scripts, or we can migrate them. So yeah, if a customer has already started a Selenium, a Playwright project, we have Cypress in the pipeline as well at some point in the roadmap. But if they have already started, we can definitely use what they have to start faster. And at the end, because our tool can export these tests in Selenium or Playwright, if the customers decide to leave, or they can take the scripts with them, and actually we show them how to export them, and they have open source scripts available for them to use. So yeah, we can interact with Selenium, Playwright.
Okay. So to make it very clear, I understand that whenever the customer wants to leave Mimic test, you will export that into a Selenium or Playwright ready test scripts and give it to them. So is it true that the scripts of Selenium and Playwright can be an input for your tool to convert it into your Mimic test format?
Yes, we will take them. Yeah, and we will import them.
Excellent. So that gives more flexibility to answer this question. Most of them have, right? So they might have already invested hundreds of thousands of dollars, and how can we get the ROI? So,
Correct.
who is your longest customer, and how many users of Mute Test is using today? So that we can understand what is the level of the tool today in the market.
So the longest customer, maybe they joined like 3 years ago. The name is Founder Shield. They are a company that they do insurance for different types of insurance for startups and companies. And yeah, they joined pretty early. We really appreciate them. And now they are managing in the platform around 500, 600 test cases, running every time they push code. They have different versions of their software. So actually, those 600 test cases, they run in different environments. So kind of they can be, we clone them and they modify them a little bit. They can run in different environments, and yeah. So over 600 tests, more than 3 years, and they continue to be a customer of us, happy, so yeah, and renewing contracts. So yeah, that's the one that has been the longest.
Excellent, Ivan. And coming to the AIML and generative. So self-healing is the oldest feature which we have been seeing since 3-4 years, right? So in your Nuke test, what other AIML features you have apart from self-healing?
So we use AI and we use different models in different ways for different things. We see test automation has three problems. One is test creation, how to create a test. The other one is test maintenance, self-healing, as you mentioned. And the third one is test selection and test coverage, the right test coverage. How can you help with AI to select the right set of tests? So we have a few features in the product already AI driven towards this, and we are building more to make this stronger. So yeah, our tool can help to create many test cases automatically based on some inputs. So, for example, a user can automate the happy paths, and then Muktes can create most of the negative paths automatically. That's one thing that it does. We already talked about the self-healing. We create selectors automatically. And the third one is right now we are working on that one. We might release something next month to help define the test coverage. So that's something that is coming, and that's other way that we are using AI for.
And also, Ivan, that's a great feature. As you said, negative test cases can be automatically created, because that is where, when you go to any of the companies which do not have QA, this is the point is missing, the coverage, right? Everyone does the happy path and then they move on and they realize that they have the production issues and they rework.
Mhm.
So that's a great feature. So in the current trend market, we see Vision AI is one of the other feature coming up in all the tools. So any existing Vision AI features in Mute Test, or you are planning anything in the near future releases?
So we are planning something for Q3 this year. I mean, we already have a prototype working to use Vision AI, but how we see it in different way. I think most of the companies see it like, okay, compare images and see what changed. But no, we see it as another input of information in our AI engine. So we can help in these three problems that I mentioned, test creation, test maintenance, and also test coverage. So for us, it's another tool, another model that will provide valuable information to make decisions. Because I see many features and they seem to be good, but they are more comparing wise. We are seeing this in a different way, and yeah, something coming related to vision late Q2, early Q3 this year.
Even the world is very, very advanced right now, right? And you build the automation tool, right? How do you keep up, to sustain in the market, to keep up with the advanced technologies. So, what is your thought in your busy schedule? How do you ensure that you read from the competition, hear from the customers, implement that, and move forward? So, what is your strategy? How do you keep yourself learning every day?
Yeah, for me, podcast like your podcast, Praveen. Like I hear podcasts and audiobooks a lot to keep to be in the loop. That's for me. Every time I run, when I'm driving, so my wife jokes that I don't have any idle moments. Like I want to do every moment productive. So a lot of podcasts. That's how I keep myself. But also within the team, what we do is. We push the team to keep learning, and we tell them the importance of keep learning and be advanced. And especially our R&D team, that the machine learning engineers we have, they are always checking for new things and proposing new things. So we try to give time for this in the planning for exploring and continue learning, because at the end, the only way that you can keep up is if you are aware of everything that is going on, so you can make decisions. You bring the mental models to you, and you can make decisions based on everything you know that is possible, right? So we give time for the team to continue learning, and we support learning, and we encourage them to do that. So everyone, not just the founders, me and Renan, are aware of everything. All the team has to be aware of everything that is happening and all the tools available, so they can bring them to their area.
Okay. So another question I would go little below before. Most of the companies, right, today, if you see in the testing world, they spend a lot of times in requirement analysis, writing the test cases, and then reviewing them, understanding, sitting with the business users, and do. So all these things is, I would say, now at least 40-50% is consumed. And I hear a lot of ways that AI, ML, or generative AI, open AI, chat GPT. So all these things are going to read the requirements and give the test cases and cut down your cost to 20%. So what are your thoughts in that, driving your MUPE test to cover the shift left?
Yeah. Regarding Mukta, I think regarding the whole industry fears, I think everything is trending towards that direction for sure. And I think it will still take. I see it like all of these new tools, including Muktes, and we are focusing. It's a maximizer of what a QA can do. Smart QA will still be needed to curate the information, to select the right inputs, to ensure that the outputs are the right ones from the tools. So, and in Muktes, the shift left that we are thinking in our vision is we say automate QA on a click. And the shift left is integrating Muktes as early as possible. I mean, we don't do unit testing, but what we have in mind is integrate with unit testing tools and unit testing information so it can fit the later stages of testing. So basically, in the example that you mentioned, we think we can consume also all this information, requirements, any documentation, tutorials, unit testing outputs, and all this information ends up being context for the advanced models to create a automated QA strategy. So so it's integrating and consuming all of this information so we can have a stronger test creation, a stronger test maintenance, and a stronger test coverage strategy.
Excellent. Thank you, Ron. Now the question for most of my Indo-American community and the NRI community, if you see, most of them will be in the tech industry, right? So when I speak to most of them, they think testing is easy, right? Typically, anyone thinks, oh, we can create test cases, but it is no more the same, right? So what is your trends? What is your vision? Like, what did you see the QA trends happening in the market, and what will be the message to the community that a tester needs to transform?
Okay, and yeah, I mean, I didn't say hello to the Indo-American community. I have many good friends. Most of my best friends are Indo-American, and and I think the tester. I would if I was a tester, a QA. I mean, I have been a tester for 20 years now. I wouldn't be worried, but I would be proactive on, because as I was mentioning in the previous question, like at the end, the tools end up being tools that need someone using them in the right way. So if I was a QA, manual, or automation, what I would do is try to be on the loop of the latest deployments and try to learn how to use them in the most efficient way for me, a more productive way for me. So basically, I would continue learning what is going on and learn to use it so I can use them in my advantage, because at the end, a human will be needed in the loop of AI still for many years. So yeah, I would try to keep in the loop of the latest and learn how to deploy those in my advantage so I can do my work better and produce more and better work.
Excellent. That's a good point. I think all of us to understand that we need to keep up the technology trends, what's going on, and especially with this generative AI and how we can give good prompts and learn and make it happen. In the similar questions, most of the companies like automation test, like Mute test, so the user groups, the user community becomes a very important factor of life. So, how do you keep up with the user groups and get more feedback? And how do you implement as you go?
Yeah, right now with user groups, we participate in different communities of open source, Selenium, Playwright, Cypress, in different social media channels. That's one thing that we do with user groups. Within Muptest, with our users, we're a fast growing startup, but still we invest a lot of time in hearing our customers. We meet with them at least once a month, mostly once a week, at least 15, 30 minutes to hear feedback, see what's going on, and feedback the product and the strategy. So we are in continuous communication. We are big believers on listening to the customer and understand what really they are trying to achieve. So we integrate with our customers in Slack or Teams, and they can provide feedback at any point, or we are aware of the status. So pretty tight integration, because that information that we get is an investment towards building a better solution.
Excellent. I think you have answered the question how to keep engaged with the community. So now, if I were to say, suppose let's say you are going to the customer, and what is your unique value, unique selling proposition?
So I would say you don't need to hire an army of QAs or SDTs anymore to have test automation. You don't need to wait one project of 12 months or 18 months to have test automation. You can get it with your current team in 3 months or less. Yeah, that's the value proposition. Yeah.
Excellent. I think that the CIOs would love this because they want it faster and with utmost quality. So now coming to your little bit entrepreneur journey, the reason I want to make this more onto this focus is the Indo-American community, or for say anyone who is listening to this podcast, who are the aspirants of entrepreneurs like me. Even I started my entrepreneurship. So what are the challenges you have encountered? Sometimes it will be very disappointing, sometimes it will be motivated. So how do you keep I would like to know some challenges do you during your journey of entrepreneurship or establishing this Mute test?
Yeah, great question. So yeah, many challenges, and actually I joke a lot with entrepreneurs that actually, I mean, right now we are in a good stage. We have been growing, but still, like, we are still as fast growing a startup. We are still see challenges. So I joke with my friends that, with entrepreneur friends, that maybe you can fix one challenge in the morning, then one comes in the afternoon, in the night you don't know, you will have another one. So continuous challenges. But one of the initial ones is that it's difficult to get something going while you are part-time. I think you can do part-time, you can test the concept. You can test the concept and maybe build a prototype and start, but really you have to go full-time or all in to really get it going. So that worked for me, for us. I have seen many friends also, like, until they really committed, they were able to, and that's a challenge because it's difficult to have the financial support to don't have a salary for 1 year, 2 years, many of the times. And you won't be able to get investment easily if you just have an idea. You need to have some traction, and that traction will take 1 year or 2 years. So that's the first challenge to start. So it's a big challenge, and I don't know how to solve it, but it's really a big challenge. So you need to plan for that going full time, for that investment of your time going full time, and for the financial. How will you survive 1 or 2 years with no salary at least, or to get your? That's the main challenge to start. The second challenge might be to start finding a good business partner. I know many that do it on their own, like they are solo entrepreneurs. I respect them a lot because I have a great co-founder, and still it's a challenging world. So I don't know. So I would recommend finding a great business partner because that makes the journey less lonely, and you have more ideas. But that's a big challenge also, to find a good business partner. If you want to go solo, that's doable too. But the challenges will be double too. You cannot share the load. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think you have pointed out on the spot. So first thing will be challenge on the finance thing, right? You don't have money, but you will be shelling money. So that's the biggest challenge. So I see that you have a lot of investors, right? So the journey has been like now 5 years. So at what point of time you thought to get the investment, and how did you approach? Because there are so many grants which I see on your website and how you have approached. So I would definitely love to tell that thoughts to the audience. If anyone is becoming an entrepreneur, where are the funds? What is that you need to get the funds? How should be how you should have your pitch to get that funds, and how do we know where to approach? So these are the three things. If you can touch, that would be fantastic, because most of the people wants to do something but they don't have any thoughts.
Yeah. So my guidelines would be like, for us, we knew we needed investment to grow faster because we need to hire many engineers, machine learning engineers, many developers. But how I would approach it if I was starting again, I think the the easy one is the easy one is to get funds is angel investors. So if you know angel investors, actually they mention it officially like friends, family, and one professor used to joke, and foes. Yeah, like so if you can get some seed money, pre-seed money there from angel investors, that's the money that you can get. But if you don't know angel investors, that will be a heavy lifting. You need to create your network. So I would encourage you now to start creating your network. One advice that someone told me once, and it's good in this context, is if you are asking for money, ask for advice. If you're asking for advice, ask for money. So if you want advice, ask for money. So yeah, start creating your network. Ask advice about your idea. A lot of people has a lot of experience. They can give you a lot of good feedback. So create your network before you go. If you don't have any funding, so you can get some seed investment. The second thing that it's accelerators. There are accelerators that they invest in early stage ideas. You don't need so much traction, but you need a prototype, a few users, and you can get that money. Then there is early stage investors that you can find in different sources like Crunchbase, AngelList for angels. I forgot that. But you can look for investors there. Grants. You mentioned grants. So angel investors and friends can take you to one level. Then you can get money from accelerators that will expand your network, and you can get more funding. Then you can look at early stage VCs. But also the other path is grants. So there are many grants. We got grants from the NSF, SBIR. We got grants from local. So Explore. Many governments have grants that help you start. So exploring in local organizations who is supporting the entrepreneurial ecosystem, and you can get some grants. NSF, they have a lot of information there, but those are grants for technology and sciences startups. But many tech startups, they think they cannot get them, but actually you can make the case. We got grants for QA automation because we are using AI. There are other grants from companies like Google. Google has a program, Google for Startups. We got one grant from there. Yeah, in summary, to get started, friends, family, angel investors, early stage startups, early stage accelerators, and grants. Research that. It takes time. It's not something you can get in 1 week. Plan for that to take 6 months to 1 year, especially if you don't have the relations, but start creating relations with all of these people that I mentioned. angel investors, VCs, grants, people, ask questions, ask advice.
Absolutely. I think that's a great advice, Ivan, including me. Now we need to definitely look for that, the circle, what you said, the community of investors. So one question I have here, when you really want to expand your community network in investment, so do you think everyone will allow into their network, or how do you approach the starting point? Where do you, what events you need to attend? That would give more insight for all the aspirants of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, and I think I will start an answer with fears. You need to have a thick skin. You will get a lot of no's. So even when you're networking, because my second advice was going to be, you can call people. So you can do research on LinkedIn, for example, about people you want to connect that is strategically interesting for what your idea or what you're thinking about. So you can research LinkedIn, try to email people, trying to get advice from them. So that's with no events. Events, yeah, research, and now the in-person world is back. So in the past I would say virtually, but I would think now in-person events. So research, usually in every city, every medium to large city, there is there are newsletters or there are groups that follow startup events. So sign up for those. Sign up for those events. Go have a breakfast, lunch, whatever events it is. Hang out there. Prepare your elevator pitch. So if they ask you, hey, what are you working on? Oh, I'm working on X and we do Y. So prepare an elevator pitch, 15, 20 seconds pitch. Sign up for every event. Be curious about people instead of talking about you when you go to these events. Try to learn from them, ask them what are their interests. And yeah, so in short, I would recommend two things. One is online, do research and reach out to them, trying to get introductions or calls with them. Second one, go to events, but go prepare to listen, learn, and share a little bit about you. But go to the events. Nothing will be in person. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think, Ivan, you have given a lot of insight where an entrepreneur and also a quality assurance and engineer can follow through. So, in the interest of time, I would definitely ask you for anything for our audience to know more about Muke Test or any of the broader topic of automation in AIML. So, can you give that message to the community so that will be helpful?
Yeah. If anyone has any other questions on these topics that we discussed, please send me an email, ivan@mooklabs.com. I'm happy to guide you in the direction. So send me an email if you want to learn about any of these topics, the QA that we talk about, automation, the tool, the service, entrepreneurship. Happy to interact through email.
Thank you so much, Ivan, for contributing your 1 hour during this weekend. It's definitely an interesting topic, and people will learn from your journey. And thank you, audience, for being here. And this will be recorded and also put in on the website. So you can go to YouTube, Mana TV, you can watch this and also come up with any thoughts you want to learn more from the audience. That would be great. So I'll be more touching on AIML and most of the CEOs, their journeys in the technology space. So any of the aspirant entrepreneurs can learn from this. That's the main intent of this Insight with Praveen Puram. Again, thank you so much for your time and have a wonderful weekend. Bye, Ivan.
Thank you, Praveen. Thank you, community. Have a great weekend.